This week, investigative journalism and why reporters need to understand the numbers. And in Cape Town, cartoonist Zapiro on his new book and where he stands currently with President Zuma. Also, we'll go behind the scenes of an epic banking ad shot in the Amazon. This is Mags on Media. A very warm welcome. First up this week, using a real-life drama to make a television commercial. Now, these were the visuals that were splashed all over your news bulletins just over a fortnight ago. You'll remember the recent accident at sea involving the vessel, the Miroshga. Well, the NSRI, the National Sea Rescue Institute, has cleverly used the high-profile event to leverage a public service commercial. Craig Lambinon speaks for the NSRI, and Peri van Papendorp is creative group head at the agency Ogilvy, Cape Town. He directed the commercial. Let's talk to both of them. Craig, I'm going to start with you first of all, and welcome to the program. What came first? Was it the tragedy itself, or did you always have the idea?
Always the idea came first, long in advance. It's something, a predicament that we deal with often. Life jackets on vessels, on craft, are often not worn, and it is a serious life-saving device. So the effort on our side has been ongoing for quite some time, and quite surprised to see that such a fantastic advert has highlighted this, but then also, unfortunately, the tragedy of the Miroshga has further highlighted it and brought it really into the world perspective now.
So, Peri, out of some good, as Craig rightly says, the incident did serve some purpose, but there was the challenge. How did you pick that up? What was the thinking that your agency came up with?
Well, Jeremy, first of all, there was a print campaign, which, as Craig said, we've been wanting to highlight life jackets and get raise awareness about life jackets out there. And so we shot a print campaign. We conceptualized this idea at the agency a few months ago, and the campaign came out really well. And since shooting the print, we've always had this idea that it would, it would translate very well to a TV ad. And it took us some time to pull together all the people who were willing to give their time and effort to make the TV ad. So we shot it a few months later, and it just happened to be a couple of weeks before the Miroshga incident. So we, it was kind of an opportune time for us to launch the ad, so we tried to finish it as quickly as possible just to get it out there and get it on air.
And technically, Peri, and conceptually, was it a fairly difficult commercial to make?
Conceptually, the idea had been there for a while, and we've been working with it and thinking about it. And I think that technically it was fairly tricky. We had to shoot in water, which is always a difficult thing to get around, because we have to take our equipment into the water, we have to get cameraman into the water, and of course we have to get the talent, the actors, into the water. So it took us a while to cast. Obviously we had to find some guys, and we didn't want to do everything in CG. We wanted it to be done for real, no post on it, so we had to look for twins, and we had to look for twins who were fit enough to do it and to be able to swim and to really represent a rescue realistically. So it took us a while to find the guys. When we found the guys, we had to workshop with them and rehearse with them and get them into the water, of course get the camera crew into the water. And it did take a while. We shot over the course of about 4 to 5 hours in Buckoven, and the weather was pretty bad, and that's exactly what we wanted. So it was a fairly trying shoot, but I think that we got the result we wanted, and we're just really glad that we persisted.
Craig Lambinon, let's go back to the terrible incident itself and the dramatic coverage that we had and other television stations had. I think was aided by the footage that was shot by the NSRI at the time. Do you always film things like this? Would you take a camera, for instance, on a rescue mission?
In this particular case, we do have a stills camera on most of our rescue boats. Sometimes evidence needs to be collected for that reason. The video footage came from one of the passengers. I believe he had a GoPro with him, and obviously some very dramatic footage that was taken that highlights just how difficult the situation was out there. But despite the sad tragedy of the 2 people who lost their lives, an absolute phenomenal effort by the rescue services who responded to this emergency and who really worked under unbelievably trying conditions to successfully rescue the 37 people who survived.
Craig, I know that you're an outdoors guy, that you do really important stuff and that you don't necessarily associate yourself with the somewhat soft world of advertising sometimes. And let me put the question to you. You would obviously, by doing something like this, see the NSRI as a brand. What are the core brand values that you espouse?
The mission statement we have is saving lives on South African waters. The brand core value would definitely be to get the message out there to people, a safety conscious environment, because the sea and water, even inland waters, are extremely dangerous. And it's impressive when a company like Ogilvy comes up with a campaign like this and highlights a message that we try to get across at every opportunity.
Our verdict, for what it's worth, we think it's a powerful, compelling, dramatic piece of work, and it certainly does the job. Craig Lambinon and Peri from Papendorp, thank you very much for joining us on Mags on Media. When we continue, the changing nature of investigative journalism, and we're also going to go behind the scenes of a brand new commercial for Investec. Remember, we're live on Facebook and on Twitter on these addresses 24/7.